Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Fallout Bar from week number 4 of the Premier League of Darts. Myself, Jack Gobigawa, joined by none other than Mr. Charlie Hopper, the man who wishes he was from the north.
Is that joke still going on?
Yeah, mate, as long as we're here, that joke's still running, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Well, I
That's how it works.
thought you got tired of that.
Never.
Yeah, look, another really good night of darts tonight, and yeah, I've been calling for an MVG win for a long time, and finally got over the line tonight. So a really good night of darts, and I'm loving the format.
Yeah, that spoils my next 2 questions, mate. So brilliant, as if you just something tells me you don't want to be here tonight. Let's just motor on and get through it. As always, let's say hello to a few people in the chat room. Craig's in, Andrew's in, Yankees in. He says MVG was on fire tonight. It was like travelling 6 years into the past. MVG only dropped 3 legs. Wow, yeah, Craig, he was absolutely incredible tonight. Matthew says hello as well. Yeah, look. Spoiler alert, Michael Van Gerwen picks up the title in week number 4. His first tournament win on TV since September. I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, Charlie. It's a Premier League weekly phase. The last time he picked up a title was on the World Series as well. So it's still not ranked, but it is a nice 10 grand bonus in Michael Van Gerwen's pocket as he heads down to Minehead, a venue where he has had lots of success in the past. Let's not forget his record at the Players' Championship finals in particular. But like you said, he's just been playing too well for too long now without getting results, that this was almost inevitable.
It all just came together for MVG tonight. It all clicked, and I thought he got better as the night went on. But you can talk about it just being a tournament which goes on every week, and players get to play again and everything like that. But it's just about the confidence for him. He's got over the line now. He's down to world number 3. There is pressure on him, and he's been playing well and not getting the results that he deserves. And tonight, I thought he did do that, and a pretty emphatic night for him. He'll be, I'm sure, he'll be absolutely delighted with that performance, and it'll give him the confidence that he's needed.
Yeah, well, indeed. There's a comment from Jack. He says, MVG class tonight, but not begrudging, but let's not get carried away. Hope he carries it somewhere into the weekend and get that title. 100% agree. I think there's definitely... We're quite in the moment reactionary in the darts world. In the last 4 weeks, I've heard Johnny Clayton be called the best player in the world, Peter Wright be called the best player in the world multiple times, Gerwyn Price after the last fortnight that he's had to be the best player in the world, Joe Cullen stake a claim for being one of the most informed players in the world, Van Gerwen in that conversation as well. Don't get me wrong, darts is in a very, very good place when it's this open, but let's not get carried away. Michael Van Gerwen has been promising and threatening a result like this for a while now. Still feel like there's more gears as well to the performance level that we know is capable from Michael Van Gerwen. Tonight is probably one of the easier nights he's going to have in the Premier League, but it was superb for him nonetheless.
Yeah, he was prolific all the way through the evening, and I thought he started it off. He set the bar high against Johnny Clayton first up, and he just seemed to improve as the night went on. Really, I thought Peter Wright. But I guess Peter Wright didn't play too badly, to be quite honest, in the final. It was just the fact that MVG was so ruthless that he didn't really give him any opportunities. But he's been showing little glimpses of this kind of form and the turning of form. But the most important thing for him now is backing it up this weekend, because that's going to be key for him. As soon as people start to see the real MVG that we haven't seen for a couple of years.
Steady on, Dan. I think we might be getting carried away a little bit when we're describing Andrew Gilding as the best player in the world. Certainly might have the best 180 celebration in the world, the big thumbs up for Goldfinger, but I'm not quite sure you're going to put him as the best player in the world over the names we've mentioned already so far tonight. Ice Creams is great, says, what performance from MVG tonight? 6-1 against Clayton, 6-2 against Smith, and 6-0 against Wright. It's almost if you want my job, mate, because that's exactly where we're going to start, Charlie. Game number 1, this recent form suggested this should have been a lot closer than it was. Johnny Clayton not quite at the races. Early on, Michael Van Gerwen just denying him any opportunity to double. And by the time he does finally get a darts at the double, Johnny Clayton just 1 from 8 this evening, going down a 6-1 loss to Michael Van Gerwen. 97 average plays, 102. So fair, not a million miles apart in that one But Johnny Clayton does seem to just be running out of steam a little bit at the minute. I think after week 1, where he looked so good, stayed up there for a while, week 2, another final, etc., but has been blowing out those sub 90 averages. We're just starting to see that creep into Johnny Clayton's game a little bit more. And after the busy back end last year and winning 4 TV tournaments, there is an argument perhaps to be made that Johnny Clayton is suffering from a little bit of burnout right now.
Definitely, that was my early feeling at the start of the game and in the early exchanges, was the fact that he just looked a little bit flat. He wasn't as prolific as we're used to seeing, and that's the beauty of this format is, legs and games can go away from you very quickly. And MVG was 4-0 up, and at that point you're thinking, right, I'm really staring down the barrel. When he got a leg on the board, you saw the smile come from him. I think he was probably in a bit of disbelief that his performance was as it was, but you've just got to play what's in front of you. I think Johnny Clayton was very flat tonight. Whether that's just a bit of burnout, which of course he's had quite an incredible year. Some of the stuff that he's achieved is exceptional, but it's just a shame that he it wasn't as close as it could have been, because MVG, once he got in front, was never letting him back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, we may have shrugged it off a little bit in the fact that Johnny started slowly. Van Gogh wins the first 3 legs in 39 darts. That's pretty impressive, an average of just 13. Superb from him. But still, Clayton's been able to ride those storms when players have produced that against him, especially over the last 3 to 6 months. He's just had that air of inevitability. Your opponent rocks up and averages 118 against you for the first 3 legs. Johnny's got in him to live with it, or he's got it in with him to kick on for the second half of the match. That just wasn't quite there tonight. Not understated just how good Mark Van Gogh was. We sort of shrugged off the 102 match average from that one. It was a lot higher early on. Fizzled out a little bit towards the back end, but Van Gogh just... the first game where he looked like Van Gogh in a bowler, he was comfortably ahead, ruthless, taking out those checkouts. He just looked solid, didn't he?
Yeah, and I was waiting for Johnny to sort of come back into the game and mount a bit of a fight back. But again, that wasn't there. And I think for MVG with 60% on his doubles, he didn't really... I mean, Johnny had chances at a double, and the first couple of legs, he was nowhere to be seen because Michael was so prolific in his scoring. But, a great performance from Michael to open the night. I know Mark Webster was really, honing on him and saying how he fancied him tonight. And, he's got to do it. And he did it just to open the night, and he was off the stage before we even knew it. So a really good, prolific performance from Michael Van Gerwen, and started his night off in the perfect fashion.
It was indeed. Right, let's move on next. We have another 6 games to talk about. Plus, maybe we'll get your little opinion on the UK Open as that starts tomorrow. And we should normally look ahead to next week, but I think there's so much starts going on in between that we might skip that bit, or we'll just do a little bit on the UK Open with you instead, Charlie, because obviously you weren't on the live lounge on Monday night. A big thank you to everybody that's joined us so far as well. Obviously, please do drop us a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our content, and comment below to get involved. You might have seen us flash up a few comments on the screen so far. A quick reminder before we do go any further, we're live streaming for the next couple of days. The UK Open is back. Just dropped that in the conversation a second ago. Henry, Lee, and a little bit of PB tomorrow morning, and then I'll be taking over from Henry in the evening tomorrow, and then Saturday we'll be going at it as well, as long as there is multi-board room, i.e. centre stage, so it'll be boards 3 to 8 for the majority of Friday, and then Saturday I think that drops down to 3 and 4 at some point. We'll have lads on here talking you through it, as we have done in the past, so make sure you do check us out over the next couple of days. You guys know where to find us, where you found us right now. And obviously when we do finish, stay on the channel, hop over to catch the end of the live league. It is Champions Week. Jim McEwen has already sealed his spot in Saturday night's final, playing for the opportunity for £6,000 to the winner. The fact that prize money is that high is just absolutely staggering. But we move on, Charlie. Match number 2, and it was a much needed win for Michael Smith, his first in the campaign, taking him 4 weeks to do so. Perhaps a little bit of edginess over the last couple of weeks, where he's been pretty vocal in the past about being left out of the Premier League. Comes into this campaign as the world finalist once again, didn't go his way, and then had to deliver on what he's been asking for the last couple of years now. Back in the Premier League, does get his first win, defeats Joe Cullen 6-5.
Yeah, and it kind of got to the stage when I think Michael will have said if he's going to win, he's going to win in any form, and that was what he did tonight. It was a scrappy game, but a good game between the two. Michael Smith's 180s have deserted him. I know he was levelled up with 4 apiece with Joe Cullen, but a really good game between these two. Obviously two players that have been brought into the Premier League this year. But yeah, the way that Michael Smith went about it, and to get back in the winning circle, will have given him a lot of confidence. And now that he's back in the Premier League, you'd hope that his performances will improve, and we'll start to see the Michael Smith that we saw towards the back end of last year.
Yeah, I think that's crucial for Michael Smith. It's just settling, isn't it? I think his ability has never ever been in question. It's just, can he settle into a tournament? Can he produce his top level game? His scoring hasn't quite been there for the last few weeks, but that was certainly back and in the right direction this evening, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. And the scoring for him, he had such a prolific World Championships, and his scoring was electric. But today it was much better in the way that he went about it. And you've got to be at your best to beat these players, because they are the best players in the world at the moment. And Joe Cullen's no mug either. So the pressure was on both of the players to pick up points tonight. And Michael Smith will be happy that he's got over that no-win stage, and hopefully he'll be able to kick on, and his performances will improve as the weeks go on.
It will indeed. Quick word on Joe Cullen. 2 first-round losses, a final, and now another first-round loss. It seems to be everything or nothing for Joe Cullen at the minute, which I suppose has sort of been a trait of Joe's game for the past couple of years. If Joe Cullen is on it, he is one of the very, very best in the world. If he's slightly not quite there is the opportunity for him to start picking up those losses, I guess.
Yeah, it's all or nothing really with Joe Cullen. You kind of see that if he's there, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, that the final is there in him, and he's got the opportunity to potentially go all the way on one of the nights. If it's not there and it doesn't click for him, then he's tends to be an early exit in this format of the Premier League. But for him, it's all a learning curve, isn't it? This is a great opportunity for him every week with the best players in the world. You hope that we'll see the better side of Joe Cullen than the poorer performances, but he's going to be learning a lot over his experiences, and hopefully it'll make him a better player as the weeks go on, because you do need to be consistent if you want to go all the way in the Premier League.
You do indeed. Let's move on then to game number 3, and for the second time in a week, we got to see the world number 1 against the world number 2, Charlie. I think we might see these two duke out an awful lot this year. They just seem to be that intertwined at the minute. Obviously, there is that battle for world number 1 currently going on. Peter Wright, reminder, looks very, very likely to be world number 1 come the end of the UK Open this week. It will take something special from Gerwyn Price to deny Snakebite that mantle by the Monday when we have a look. I got a little bit of stick in one of my group chats tonight by saying I did not expect this result. The last couple of weeks, Gerwyn Price has been absolutely on fire. Picked up the Premier League Week 3 title in superb fashion. Picked up the Euro Tour at the weekend as well. Don't be wrong, we're all fully aware how capable Peter Wright is. One of the most winningest, to coin an American phrase, player in the world in the last 18 months. Picks up the match play, the World Championships, and pretty much anything else that he fancied having a go at. But there's just been a couple of glimpses in the last few weeks, Charlie. Peter Wright with those sub-90 averages. We saw it in week 2 or 3. We saw it against Ryan Joyce on the Pro Tour. We've just seen it a couple of times creep into his game. So, look, I'm not massively... It's not the biggest shock in the world that Peter Wright has won tonight, but you just thought after the last couple of weeks and the way that Gerwyn Price beat Peter Wright over the weekend as well, that it was going to go in the Welshman's favour again tonight, but it didn't. Superb performance from Peter Wright. Got those World Championship darts back out of the case and showed what he's capable of when he gets them going.
Yeah, I mean, Gerwyn Price was on a run of 8 straight wins. He was in, he seems to be turning a really good corner. I know PB tipped him, I think, just prior to the to the evening tonight, and he said that he'd just get over the line. And this was probably, for me, the game that I was most looking forward to. And Price just didn't seem to have it tonight. You could see in his expression, the way when he went to the hockey, he was just not, it just wasn't going for him tonight, I think. And look, Peter Wright played really well. I do enjoy the darts that he uses when he was playing tonight. Those are the ones that I think he should continue to use. But we know what Peter Wright's like.
You'll have a different set tomorrow or Saturday morning he plays.
But I expect these two will be, at each other all year. It's going to be an incredible tussle. But yeah, surprise performance from Going Price, because I thought, especially after last week and the weekend that he's had, he just started to get into a bit of form.
Yeah, he had indeed. Look, it would be the first time that we see Going Price arriving in Minehead on the back of a ridiculous winning stretch as well. He's arrived there 15, 16, 17 wins in a row in the last couple of years. And I just thought maybe history was going to repeat itself, especially I caught him on the Happy Hour podcast earlier today. I sat down with Jack, mate, and Stevie for a while. Really interesting conversation, listening to Gezi and perhaps some of the other side of Gezi that fans don't tend to see. But the confidence, it was, I think they recorded it last Wednesday, so before the Euro tour. And the confidence from Gezi was that I think I'm going to hit a 9-darter in every match I play. I just feel that much better. Playing well, practicing well. I thought after listening to that, the form in the last couple of weeks, that was what we were going to get from him. Perhaps this isn't a bad thing for Going Price. It's not a ranked event. It doesn't cost him the world number one. It does give Peter Wright the edge, I guess, in a head-to-head battle, but I think they're just that back and forward anyway. But it meant he could get off a little bit earlier, get himself to Minehead. There's still a fair bit of a drive from Exeter to Minehead, get himself settled and get himself on site ready to have a crack at the UK Open, because that's the one that really matters in terms of him remaining dubbed as the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, he's defending a lot of money at the UK Open, and it would take something special. But as we know, he needed to win the Euro Tour to continue his place at the top of the pile, and he did it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he pulled something out of the bag this weekend at the UK Open. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think he's come on in the night. He'll have hit off quickly and probably got himself straight down across to Minehead. I don't think it's a bad thing for him. I know these two will do battle many a times, and I think the confidence that he's had over the last couple of weeks will still be with him after this performance. But you know what? Going Price has got a big task on his hands this weekend if he wants to remain as world number one. And I expect these two to do battle plenty of times this year, and there'll be wins that will be shared between the two. But it's going to be an exciting seasons that we've seen so far. But I don't think it'll bother going too much that he's got an early finish tonight, and he can get himself to Minehead ahead of a busy weekend for him.
Definitely, indeed, the UK Open, one of the busiest tournaments of the year. On to the final quarter-final of the night. The fact we call these quarter-finals is a bit weird. It's an 8-player tournament. You're already in that. It's the first round, isn't it? Let's be honest. But you're already a Premier League quarter-finals finalist. Wayne Mardle and Mark Webster made that joke a little bit on TV earlier. They both prayed for a couple of quarter-finals in the Premier League during their campaigns, bless them. But we digress. Two players that have seen each other an awful lot down the years. These two have been there or thereabouts for a long time. Have picked up a lot of trophies between them. But James Wade, Charlie, just seems to be showing the odd sign. It's not quite consistent, going to average 97 plus and 60% on the doubles that we know James Wade is capable of for a stretch. But he's just starting to show that moment a little bit more now that he's going to be competitive in this Premier League. Because after the week 1 and week 2 and his form on the floor, there was serious doubt over whether James Wade was going to make a semi-final at least in this Premier League, if not a final and beyond.
That's the beauty of James Wade. He's so relentless on the outer ring. His consistency there is what wins him so many games. I know he got outscored in his average tonight by Gary Anderson, but it's just when you give Wade an opportunity, he will take it, and that's what he needs to do. Premier League. He's probably gone a little bit under the radar so far this Premier League. He's not a massive standout name. He doesn't do things that MVG does or Going Price does. He's very much just gets on with the game. And tonight he was pretty relentless on the outer ring, and he just got the job done. And it was impressive from James Wade.
It It was indeed. The double percentage certainly there from James, 6 out of 10. 142 highest checkout. Just some prime wading. How that word isn't in the dictionary yet is beyond me, because it is an adjective in itself. Wading is taking out a checkout in that mid-range, clean as a whistle, from a player that just doesn't quite score as high as everybody else. That being said, Wadey outscored Gando on the 180s tonight, which doesn't happen very often at all. But James seems to be adding that to his game, just a little bit more, a little bit concerned about the fact he's jumping off that front foot again. He threw a 180 in earlier, put the fourth dart in, and then the fifth dart was a massive drag, and that's a little bit of tension. Pushed himself up and just dragged the dart down low, but hopefully keeps that out of his game throughout the weekend. He is, of course, the defending champion of the UK Open. Doesn't tend to like mine head a lot, though. Luckily, he won it elsewhere. Let's move on then to the semi-final stage. 3 more games to talk about. Michael van Gerwen, once again, pretty comfortable. 104 average this time, moving through the gears. Pretty untroubled against Michael Smith. I think there was an opportunity for Smith to get 2-all and 3-2. Picks up a leg to go 4-2 behind. Scoring power there. Dublin seemed to desert him once again when he needed it most. Van Gerwen, 6 of 8 on the doubles, 104 average. Just, there's not a lot more we can say about this one. Clinical, superb, top level darts that's very difficult to combat unless you're going to throw 12 dart leg or better in every leg against your opponent's throat.
Yeah, I mean, look, he wasn't on the stage very long in his first match, so he's had plenty of time off. He comes back on and picks up exactly where he left off, if not upped his performance even better. It was another really impressive performance from Michael van Gerwen, and that was the point when I thought he's got a real opportunity of going all the way. Michael Smith, 6-2, had an opportunity to get it level. It's just one of those games where you needed to have watched it, because you could see the score after and think, wow, that's all one-sided. But Michael Smith had chances in that game. His doubling percentage was low. But yeah, look, Michael, another really clinical performance, relentless as always, and 104 average for him. He really impressed me in that game.
Yeah, I think he's really impressed a lot of people tonight. The Green Machine is back in the winner's circle. And I want to touch on something again in a minute that you said about having a big rest between that, because somebody who didn't have quite as big a rest is Peter Wright, back on against James Wade. Obviously, they played third and fourth, so then they had a second semi-final. Peter Wright, these are two of the most comfortable on paper results you're going to see at the semi-final stage in this Premier League. Van Gerwen, 6-2 over Michael Smith. Peter Wright, exactly the same scoreline over James Wade, except there wasn't an awful lot coming back at Snakebite. Just an 85 match average from James Wade, completely dropped off from where he was in the first round. But again, an opportunity for him to just get to Minehead, get out of the way. He got a couple of points on the board, a little bit flat, wasn't quite there to start with, and I'm just not sure there was the desire to get it back either.
Yeah. Look, Peter Wright didn't have much coming against him, and I always believe that you've just got to play what's in front of you, and of course he got the job done in the semi-final. But I mean, yeah, James Wade with an 85 average. I don't know how many games he's going to win with an 85 average, if I'm really honest with you. And Peter Wright, in the form that he's in, with 103 average in the game, was just far too much for James Wade. But he's keeping things ticking over, which is good in the Premier League. You need to keep picking up points, or else you become adrift, especially with points being played for every single week. But yeah, look, Peter Wright has played pretty well again. He hadn't had much rest, so he's straight back on the stage again, and he's upped his performance even more. So, for him, a good performance, but James Wade just didn't really have it, and he fell flat. And once Peter Wright got ahead, there was no coming back from that one.
Great point, actually. HJV says, will Wade win a match with a higher average in the Premier League? I count 4 wins so far this season, and I'm not sure he's had the highest average in any of them. Opening night against Gerwin Price, had an 88.78 to Gerwin's 89. He won that one. Loses to Johnny Clayton in the next round. Doesn't pick up a win against Joe Cullen, night 2. Night 3, beats Johnny Clayton with a 93 average. Johnny Clayton had a 94. He beats Peter Wright with 102 average. Peter Wright had 105, and then losing the final and then Luke beats Gary Anderson tonight, averaging 2 points less. Prime James Wading. It's just what he does. That the fact you stumbled across that is brilliant, HW. Thanks for bringing that to our attention. But that just sums up James Wade, I think. 4 wins in the Premier League so far this season, not had the highest average in any of them. It is 100% just a guide. The James Wade averages are just a guide. That tells you everything you need to know. On to the final then, Charlie. And this is where I want to talk about that rest and that gap. Michael van Gerwen was in the perfect position tonight. Played first, won, pretty comfortable, off the stage, nice and calm, back on again for the first semi-final, gets that little bit of a breather between the first semi-final and the final. Looked fresh as a daisy up there in the final as well, 99 average, 6-0 victory over Peter Wright, who we saw looking like maybe he'd hurt his back a little bit in the semi-final. Pretty flat performance from Peter Wright in the final, which is not a good sign when he's throwing those gold darts, because the odd bad performance with equipment that we think he likes or that he's very, very good with just starts adding that element of doubt in the back of Peter Wright's mind, however that works for Peter Wright. And if they're not able to just produce that 100 average on demand that he wants, he'll end up putting him in the bin and throw something ridiculously daft for the rest of the weekend. That's just the way Peter Wright works. But I may be jumping the gun just a little bit, Charlie, but he's back. Michael van Gerwen does pick up a win on TV in a televised tournament, albeit just a night of the Premier League, but a superb fashion, dropping just 3 legs in 3 matches against Johnny Clayton, Michael Smith and Peter Wright. That is some run from the Green Machine, Charlie. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but just your last thoughts on his performance throughout the night.
Yeah, look, so many times in the last couple of months we've been, I guess, accustomed to seeing MVG play like he does, and then someone come and pip him to the post. And it would have been typical MVG if Peter Wright had pulled out an incredible performance and beat him tonight in the final. But he didn't really have anything coming at him, 75% on the doubles, a 1-3-4 checkout, which was very nice to see.
What are you doing?
from him. But yeah, look, a great performance from Michael van Gerwen. And as I mentioned, he just seemed to get better and better as the night went on. Granted, Peter Wright looked flat, tired, which he seemed to be. MVG gets over the line. A lot of people have been calling for it, waiting to see him back in the winner's circle. I hope this gives him the confidence and the boost that he needs now to potentially turn some of those tournament wins now into tournament trophies and not going home second, third, fourth. Now he can be back in the winner's circle more often.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie says he's not back till he wins one of the week-long events like a match play, etc. He's got to start somewhere. Winning is a habit, and there is not a single dart player in the world, apart from maybe Vincent van der Voort, Michael's best mate, that would have enjoyed seeing Michael van Gerwen win a night of the Premier League and just get that winning feeling back. The longer that results keep going against him when he's playing badly, the longer that perhaps it's going to stay that way, or the form will go the opposite way for Van Gerwen and the results won't come, and there's just a chance that you keep away one of the 2 greatest, best darts players to ever play the game. If you keep him not winning games for as long as you can, you earn more money as a dart player. That's how it works. A good, fit, fighting Michael van Gerwen at the top of his game is brilliant for darts. It's brilliant for the narratives we're trying to tell us as media, as storytellers, as whatever. It's brilliant for the rankings race and how many spanners he's going to throw in the works for that Wright versus Price dominance. It's brilliant that he is the way he is in the media and isn't afraid to tell people that he still thinks he's the best player in the world. He's going to come at them. But in terms of everybody else trying to earn money, it's not a good sign for you at all, because let's not forget, if he gets on a roll, he is up there with Phil Taylor as the greatest player of all time to play darts. You don't want that as a current player. I don't care how good the standard is right now and how often players ranked 64 and below beat the top 16, etc. It's just not a good sign for you if you're a fellow dart player.
No, 100% not. Look, Michael's been there and he's done that. He's got the experience. He's been in these in the moment. And a lot of players come out and say, "I don't fear him. I don't fear him." And fair enough, they've been beating him, but winning breeds confidence, and that's what happens. You feel confident. You get over the line. Next time it happens again, and he'll start to feel good. And the performance has been coming from him. They've been getting better and better and better. He's just not got over the line. For a lot of other darts players, he has got over the line tonight. This is a big result for him. I know it's not a lot of people, it's not a weekend long event. He hasn't played. He's only played on the night, but I think this could potentially be that turning point that he needs now to get over the line. And a lot of people will be, opening their eyes at him and thinking that was pretty prolific tonight.
It was, and I think we try and make the point both ways. Very, very good for him tonight. Back in the winner's circle. A lot of people won't want to see that. But I'm going to suffix it with the fact that it's not one of the big ones. It is a night in the Premier League, and the format change before tonight wouldn't have allowed it to be talking the way that we are about Michael van Gerwen right now. If he goes and picks up the UK Open this weekend, game well and truly back on, right? That's a different conversation altogether. And the performance is coming back at him tonight. The fact he's only dropped 3 legs, don't get me wrong, the players he's played, superb players, but I don't think any of them really delivered their top level game. There wasn't any of those key moments that really decide a game late on where we had to see how much nerve Michael van Gerwen still has. Because I think that the performance has been brilliant of late, but that's where he's lost it. It's been in those key moments where you think about his domination on the Euro Tour for so long in last leg deciders, because he'd been there, he'd done that, he built that run up for so long. He knew what he was capable of. He knew what he could throw in that moment. And every single one of his opponents was also fully aware of that record and went in trying that little bit too hard, etc. They've been able to relax a little bit recently because he's just not had it. You might get him missing 3-4 match starts at a double that we just wouldn't have seen from Michael van Gerwen before. You might get him only hit 1 treble in or 2 trebles in 2 visits that give you that opportunity to try and break his throw, etc. So the fact he wasn't in any of those moments tonight, he shut the door on Michael Smith pretty well, granted, but the rest of it, pretty comfortable win for van Gerwen. He's good because it breeds confidence for him, but I still want to see him in those tricky situations up close. Last leg decider this weekend in a best of 19. How's your nerve then? That's the next step for Michael van Gerwen. He's on the ladder now. He's back winning again. It's been a while since that World Series event, not quite gone the way for him in the back end of last year. Lots of Pro Tours, Euro Tour back in full, which has sort of been his playground for a long, long time. A good stepping stone for Michael van Gerwen to get over the line in the Premier League against 3 of the best players in the world, albeit not at their top game. Let's hear them from Michael van Gerwen. We do have a short clip from his post-match interview this evening. Then I'm going to ask Charlie quick thoughts on the next week Premier League, and then we'll do a quick 5 minutes on Charlie's predictions for the UK Open as well, and see if tonight's results have changed anything for you. This is Michael van Gerwen in his post-match press conference.
It's part of the journey. You need to accept it. You have to keep calm. And what Vince also said to me, it will change. It will turn around because the players cannot keep doing what they do against you at the moment. They cannot keep doing that. You can keep doing that, but they can. So keep believing in yourself and keep fighting, and then the rest will come automatically. And that's what we keep hoping for and keep practicing on and keep fighting for. And yeah, I'm glad it also pays out. I don't know. I think they still all talk about me because if they still fear someone, it's still me. Trust me. You know the score, and they all know the score, but they can speak it. They, how do I say it in a nice way? It hurts them too much to even spell my name. That's a good thing. I take it as a positive.
I just love how positive the man is. For somebody who's been through such poor form, for his very, very high standards for the last 18 months, even if there's a little bit of that in jest, the fact he still speaks so confidently, so highly of himself, still gives off that persona to everybody that he's around, just must be soul-crushing for everybody else looking at that. The fact he's still so confident, he's not done a lot for 18 months in Michael van Gerwen land, and he stood there going, I'm still the best, they're still talking about me, haha, you just can't break his spirit, do you know what I mean? And that's a massive, massive worry for everybody else. Let's see then if that translates to Brighton next week. Charlie, we'll go through the first 4 matches, then I'll ask for your finalists from your 2 semi-finalists. You know the drill by now. You've been on this often enough. We start night 5 in Brighton with Gary Anderson against Michael Smith, the Master and the Apprentice. A game that not that both players need to win, but it's certainly a good place to start picking up more points in the Premier League.
Yeah, this game is a great one to start off. Both players needing points. I know that there's still plenty of opportunities to get points, but you do need to start putting a run together. And I think Michael Smith will win this. I'm going to go 6-3 in this one. I think today will have given him confidence. Hopefully, he has a decent run at the UK Open as well, and he takes that confidence into next week. But I think the Apprentice gets over the line in this one.
Yeah, for me, it's all about what Michael does this weekend. If he goes and flops a little bit early, then confidence stays low. I think Gary's going to average somewhere between 94 and 97 once again. It's just in those key moments, can Michael Smith hold it together like he was doing at the World Championship? The story made the World Championship final. I'm going to go against you. I'm going to say Gary wins this one. I'm going to say he wins this one 6-4. On to match number 2. I don't know why I'm just staggered every week, but this is why the Premier League is so great, because of what it is. But we get Peter Wright versus Johnny Clayton in round 1 in the quarterfinals. Charlie, good luck picking a winner in this one.
Yeah, again, that's a tough one to call. I'm going to go with Peter Wright. I just think Johnny's just looked a little bit flat in the last couple of weeks. I think it could and has the makings of being a really good game. But I'm going to go Peter Wright to win. I'm going to go 6-4. I just think he's a little bit sharper at the moment. And, again, he'll have probably had a really good UK Open. You never know what happens. It is the FA Cup of Darts. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think he wins. I think he wins that game. Only just, but I think he wins 6-4.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting we're going to talk about this in a minute and the race for world number 1, but I'm expecting Peter Wright to start this game next week as the world number 1.
Yeah,
I think there's something ridiculous from Gerwyn Price this weekend to stop that happening. And even if he does, I'm pretty sure that just a solid enough, steady weekend from Peter Wright on the side would still keep him there without going on to lift the title. I need to double check the numbers in a minute. But that buzz and that lift from being announced as world number 1 for the very, very first time, reigning world champion and world number 1, as Johnny Mack announces you in front of a crowd, you're going to get a little bit of a lift and a little bit of a buzz from that. And that's what I'm expecting from Peter Wright. And I think that's what gives him the edge over Johnny Clayton next week. He's going to want to set the stall out as world number 1, going, right, I've got this now. You guys have got to come and take it off me. And that's why I'm going to say 6-3 for Snake by Peter Wright. Michael's just joined us. Hello, buddy. Good to see you. Match number 3, Charlie. These two have met. I don't even know how many times these two have met, but it must be literally nearly hundreds. Michael Van Gerwen against James Wade. After tonight, suggests perhaps there is only one winner, but James Wade just has this habit of throwing spanners in the works. And let's not forget, last time James Wade was in the Premier League, he made a habit of beating Michael Van Gerwen.
Yeah, I think MVG will win. I think he wins 6-3 in this one. I think he'll take a lot of confidence from tonight, as we said. I think he'll have a decent UK Open. And again, he'll be wanting to set his stall out as well next week to follow it up. And I think he wins. And I think he's pretty comfortable with 6-3 against James Wade.
Indeed. I'm just checking that. Connor says if Price doesn't reach final, Wright is world number 1. He is, unless Peter Wright reaches the semi-final and then Gerwyn Price has to win the tournament. So there's that underlying as well. A quarter final. That wouldn't be enough. 1-1-7-6. Yeah, he has to at least make the final to have any hope of catching Snake Bite and not be the new number 1. Back to my prediction. I'm going to go Wadey, Why not? Let's bring a little upset in round 1 once again. 6-4 to James Wade. And in the final round one matchup of the night, Joe Cullen against Gerwin Price. Where you going with this one?
I'm going to go off the understanding and belief that Gerwin Price will enter the tournament as world number 2. I'm going to go with a fired up Gerwin Price to beat and blow Joe Cullen away. I'm going to go 6-2 in that one. I just think if he loses it this weekend, he'll be fired up, and I think he wins and he beats Joe Cullen pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you are right. I think there already seems to be that fire in the belly of Gerwin Price. Didn't like not winning the World Championship. Just got like something to aim for again right now by not having that world title. Someone coming for that world number 1 and plenty of other trophies that he wants to add to his collection. Let's not forget Marco van Gerwen, the only player on the tour at the minute that has done the career sweep of PDC televised titles. Gerwin Price will want a slice of that action this year, and this year is the best year to start adding to it, of course. So I'm going to say Price wins. I'm going to say 6-3 in this one. So from your 2 semi-finalists, pick your finalist and tell me who wins it.
My final is MVG and Price. I think that will be the. I think actually they'll play each other, won't they?
No, they'll play each other in the semis.
It's late. It's late. It's been a long week.
You've got Michael Smith.
Right, so I'm going to go MVG and Price in the semi-final. Price then makes the final.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go with Peter Wright to play Gerwin Price in the final, and Gerwin Price gets the better of him, having Peter Wright taken the number 1 spot off him this weekend at the UK Open.
Do you know what? I actually quite like that. I'm going to say the same. Start seeing that response. It would just mean that little bit more to Gerwin Price, and it can go one of 2 ways when it does do that. Try that little bit too hard, or you care just that little bit more than Peter Wright does, who's got what he wanted, knows it can't be taken off him in this moment, will be in another final, etc., or just keep churning it out and churning it out and churning it out. The relaxing of Peter Wright will work really well for him. The aggression from Gerwin Price will work really well for him, I think. So it'll be a really good battle. But yeah, I agree. Gerwin Price will beat Peter Wright as the world number 2. And then in his post-match interview, there'll be a little bit of a jibe towards the fact he's no longer world number 1, but has just beaten him, etc. Best player in the world. And we might hear best player in the world an awful lot for the next few weeks. That's the Premier League wrapped up for us then. Let me just grab the UK Open. It's too late to get a graphic up on the screen. But 155 players? I lose track nowadays. There's that many. We've got obviously all of the 1 to 8. You've got the Development Tour qualifiers, the Challenge Tour qualifiers, your Riley's qualifiers. Just a massive, massive mixing pot of every single kind of dart player you can possibly imagine, Charlie, in a great, great venue down at Minehead. It's just one of those great weekends in the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's so amazing about the game and this tournament in particular is those that don't follow darts as much as we do get to see the players that we've followed or seen through Q School, and those that are going far. And it's going to be a great weekend. I expect a lot of thrills and spills, and some players to go further than we expect, and a couple of seeds to drop as well early doors, which always makes for an exciting watch. But I expect a lot of players to be feeling confident going ahead of this weekend. And it's a great event with so many players playing in the same place. It really is what darts is all about.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's just obviously that open draw at the end of every round means it's incredibly difficult for us to try and predict anything because there isn't any brackets mapped out for us. So the seeds don't join until round number 4. We'll have lost an awful lot of the field by that moment already. Some standout players that have qualified. Obviously, Jelle Klassen back in the darts after losing his tour card last year. He was on the Riley's qualifiers. Ryan Harrington, son of Rod Harrington, in there. Paul Hogan, the professional amateur. Kai van Lung, Danny Lauby, Diego Portela, Ryan Murray, Dan Reed back in action as well. There's just names absolutely all over the place. And what you said there a minute ago was brilliant as well. The people sat watching us now and listening back as a podcast, probably are just as aware of some of these players as perhaps we are that follow the sport in depth. But it's the casual fan that's just going to tune into ITV4 and catch the Rob Cross story from the start, or the Barry Lynn, the Bin Man story, etc.
Yeah.
You just want one or two of those to break for a weekend. A couple of years ago, it was Louis Williams down in Minehead, etc. Just those underlying stories, I think, make this weekend just that little bit more special. The fact that there's so much going on everywhere, and you can't quite see it all. If you are a casual fan, the chance are you're going to tune into ITV4, you're going to see Michael Van Gogh and Johnny Clayton, Gerwyn Price, Peter Wright on your main stage on Saturday evening, etc. But everything else going on around it in that tournament, the buzz around it, it's just something special about it.
Oh, and having a look at the draw as well, there's some incredible first games that I've managed to pick out. I mean, Richie Burnett coming back this week. That's going to be incredible. There's Mario van den Boogaard against Jules van Dongen. Those two did exceptional at Q School. We have Danny Lauby coming back in. Rusty Jake Rodriguez and Bradley Brooks as well. They're doing battle. Willie Bolland and Raymond van Barneveld. These games are incredible. And the beauty of the weekend is it starts tomorrow. The weekend starts early. You've just got so much darts on your screens that by the time it comes to the end, you don't want it to finish. But fingers crossed, we do see a story of a couple that just work their way through the field and surprise a few people. And that's what it's all about, really, at the end of the day.
It is indeed incredibly difficult because we don't have a bracket, but I'm going to ask you who you think picks up the title and for an outsider to have a run. Because that's capable, isn't it? Once the draw opens up a little bit, a cheeky little run on stage 2, make that your home for the weekend, be pretty comfortable. We're seeing returns to form for players like Daryl Gurney, Kim Hybrex, those that just might start sneaking their way towards the last stage of this tournament, pick up some fair bit of prize money. I want to know which one player you've got in mind for that and who you think is going to pick up the trophy.
Yeah, I mean, look, having covered a bit of Q School, some of the names that I'd quite like to go quite far. I'd love George Killington. I think he's really impressed me since coming in from Q School. He was someone that I was a huge fan of and watched him coming through. I mean, Richie Burnett, he impressed me as well coming through. So that's another household name that a lot of people didn't expect. Danny Lauby, another one that I'd expect to potentially have a run going through. But I'm going to stick with George Killington. I think he's got an opportunity there to just work his way through the field. Of course, a lot of these early players don't get the chance to be seen by a lot of people. So by the time they do come onto the screens, they're quite a way on in the tournament. But I'm going to go with him as a surprise package. In terms of the winner, I am going to go with Michael Van Gerwen. I really am going to go with Michael Van Gerwen. I just think this will silence a few of his critics if he can get over the line in this one.
Me included.
As much as I'd love to see Gerwyn Price do it, I don't think he will. And I think Peter Wright will end the tournament as world number 1. But I'm going to go with Michael Van Gerwen to win it and George Killington to have a pretty decent run.
I'll put Michael Van Gerwen on a 9-game winning streak. After this evening, it's amazing how quickly fortunes can turn around in darts like that. I'm going to cop out just a little bit. I don't know which one, but I'm expecting an outside run from one of the North American contingent because there's quite a few of them this year. An area of the game that's growing an awful lot. You've got Jeff Smith, you've got Danny Baggish, Matt Campbell, Jules Van Dongen, Danny Lauby. The fact they're all there together as well might just inspire one of them to go on and do something a little bit good, a little bit special that we know that all 5 of them are more than capable of. So I'm not quite sure which one, but I'm expecting an outside run from a North American. That's about as vague and as specific I'm going to be at the very same time. As for the winner, we haven't seen an awful lot of him in the last few weeks and months. But I think we might see Dimitri van den Berg lift the trophy come Sunday night. Heard it here first. The opportunity to just sneak in and off that big main stage. Chance I'd be on stage 2 as well, an awful lot. Crowd seem to love him, get behind him, that dance move as well. and he's just showing those signs on the Pro Tour the last few weeks. The game is starting to get back to that very, very top level. I'm going Dimitri van den Berg to pick up the title come the end of Sunday night. Charlie, I think that's about time we wrap up this evening's show. I've been talking for just under an hour so far. Chat room, you guys have been absolutely superb. Before we go, Jamie says his outsider is Jelle Klassen. Imagine calling Jelle Klassen an outsider as a qualifier. Yankee says, I'd love to see Daniel Larby get a nice run to the third round. I don't think there'd be many that would disagree with that. And Jamie also says, I'm going to go for Cross. It's what he does out of nowhere. It would be the perfect way to silence the critics in the last couple of weeks. Made a lot of noise about not being in the Premier League. Form has suffered a little bit because of that. If he goes and picks up the UK Open, would certainly reopen that conversation. I'm not entirely sure that's the best thing for Rob Cross this season, but it would start putting that seed there and certainly put him in contention for next year's Premier League already. Let's not forget that's how James Wade is sort of there. Current world number 4, yes, but UK Open title sneaks him into the Premier League. Charlie, absolute pleasure this evening. You've been superb. Reminder to you guys sat watching us now, if you want more darts, stay on the YouTube channel, but load up the live league. It is Champions Week at the minute. Group B, I think, is the evening. Group C is the 8 in the morning. Really should know this, just get a little bit confused myself, but there is more live darts action for you throughout the evening till about 1 o'clock usually. Henry and Lee will be here from about 11 o'clock tomorrow as we go live for the multi-board segment of the UK Open, starting from Minehead. We'll be bringing you updates from all of those outer boards. Obviously, we can't live stream any of the dart and action itself, but we'll be giving you updates throughout all of those outer boards, talking you through all the action. We'll try and keep an eye on the main 2 boards as well for you guys. And obviously, we'll be back on Monday night for the live lounge for a complete review of the UK Open. Look ahead to next week's Premier League with myself, Phil Bars, and Lee Boyce, and all the rest. No Fallout Bar this weekend, Yankee. There's just way too much to get done throughout the week. And obviously, we are live streaming Friday and Saturday. So we'll do a little bit of a roundup before we close off on both days. And then we'll crack on with it. And then obviously we'll be back on Monday evening. So superb. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. A big thank you to BoyleSports for sponsoring all of our coverage throughout the Premier League as well. And thank you very much and good night.